Welcome to the October Toolbox meeting. I hope you're all keeping well and managing to stay dry down there. We are trialling a new format as unfortunately I can't be in Melbourne for all the Toolbox meetings, and I do enjoy being a part of this. So we're going to trial running them as an online every now and again and see how that works. So be interested to get your feedback on this, but I do want you to understand that when we do release things in Toolbox meetings, and we expect that to be a part of our company training. So it's absolutely vital that you watch these Toolbox meetings when they're released on Quinn. Unfortunately, I'm finding some issues in audits where it's just everything that we spoke about in the last Toolbox meeting or the Toolbox before, and TC's just not getting it. And it's just laziness by not keeping up to date with our company information. We, as you know, we start our meetings by respectfully acknowledging the traditional owners as the custodians of the land. We pay respect to all Aboriginal community elders, past and present, who have resided in the area and been an integral part of the region. News and announcements. Obviously, I made a comment in 2016 that by 2026 we wouldn't be using stop bats at ATC. Clearly we're nearly 7 years into that journey, and we've still got a lot of bats in our company. So there's a little bit of a challenge of us ahead to try and remove them. But Fulton Hogan have got this design, and obviously the TC can stand well off the road, and the bat comes out and is something that actually protrudes into the lane to get the motorist's attention. So we are running these as a bit of a trial at the moment to see how they go, and obviously we want feedback from yourselves. In Tasmania, they do it pretty well, and they use traffic lights for a lot of their major works, which is fantastic. You can see the traffic controllers can get out of the way. Probably when I look at this photo, I probably wouldn't want the TC to stand so close to the centre line, although I think the TC is standing there for a scripted photo. So please understand that that's not probably where he's positioned all day. And then as we can see in the photo to the right there, we have got the work ute that's probably not in the best position, but that must have been where they deemed the best position for it to be. I probably would maybe like to see it behind the lights or something like that, with a little bit of a snake around the corner if possible. But yeah, some great work down there in Tasmania in getting TCs off the road. The work pipeline from Zinfra. So obviously I had that meeting with Zinfra the other week, and look, we are starting to see the bookings come through. This week's been much better. A lot more traffic controllers out on the road, which is fantastic. And that's going to continue to be that way. And then obviously we're hoping that we might be able to get an exclusive agreement for a 4-year period. So please keep in mind when you're working with them, there is a really big crucial contract to our company. We expect you to put your best foot forward all the time, and absolutely vital that you set up when you get out on site. Look at all the information that you've got in there, try and work out what you need to do and where you need to set up, and make sure that you're setting up. Travel will be changing, so we, in order to get that work, we need to probably charge travel from people to get paid travel from their home, and we've got to see how that works. And look, if that still doesn't help us, we may need to recruit a lot of staff, more staff down around that peninsular area. There is a lot of work on that UE contract down around that Dramana type area, which sort of exceeds 50 k's from our Kilsyth depot. Just an update on the Queensland business opportunity. So we have basically come to a heads of agreement now on the terms and conditions of that sale. We've got to try and obtain some finance, right? So obviously the hard work begins now, trying to source that and get that over the line. They did want a handover as of the 1st of December. I don't think we'll meet that deadline with due diligence and finance. So we could possibly be looking at something in the vicinity of probably a February handover. But we'll keep you up to date. Everything is looking really good on that, and I'm really excited about this prospect and getting this business up here in Queensland. We have signed an agreement with an RTO and a couple of RTOs. As we mentioned in the last Toolbox meeting, the The training has changed, and it's obviously you've got to do these 15 hours now, and the course is a lot more expensive. So well done to everybody who has gone and renewed their training. Sarah did mention that there's a few of you who have done that. It's an absolute no-brainer. I would have certainly done the same thing. But we have agreed that we will help train and give some of those TCs 15 hours. And in turn, that might allow us as a business to probably handpick some of the TCs who come through that show a lot of potential that we can bring into our company. So what we'll do is we'll add some notes and comments into our bookings that we'll be training. So basically, you'll just go out there as if you're working as a two-person crew, and the third TC will come out there and they'll just work beside you. They actually have to work on the bat, and you just need to stand with them and conduct some training and some education with them. And we need to get them a few different scenarios, but we'll work through that in a booking sense. And look, we will certainly be selective on probably who we put these people with, because we obviously need to be trained properly. So if you see that there is someone in your booking to be trained, that's actually a credit to you and shows that we really respect your professionalism and the way you follow our values. So it's actually a compliment if you see someone in your booking that and we want you to do some training. Look, we got a little bit of feedback on the blue chevrons from Pete Clancy. Thanks very much, Pete. Pete seems to be very proactive in that space. I really want a lot more consultation, a lot more feedback from you all, and I'm pretty sure you've all got my email address, and you're more than welcome to email me anytime with feedback on what we can do and how we can improve as a business and what's working out there and what's not. Look, we had a situation on one of our work sites where a motorist insisted on driving through a road closure, and they were behaving erratically. So this person's just driven straight towards an excavator, probably lucky that the excavator wasn't in operation and swinging around, and actually killed him. And look, the TCs reported it as an incident on their site, which is absolutely perfect. That's exactly what we want. Having said that, what we do want is this reported to the police immediately. Inevitably, if the driver's driving like that, he could drive up the road and potentially kill somebody. What we'd want you to do is at least notify police, and if they don't do their job and that driver does end up killing somebody on the road, well, at least you know you've tried to get them off the road by contacting the police. So, you know, we want these drivers reported, and we want something done about it. This is just careless, and you know, not only could have killed himself, it could have been a worker working on the road that he potentially could have run over there. Just an operations update. So I've created some values for our auditors, and this is what we've rolled out. So we create values for improved governance and raising safety standards to mitigate risk and protect our people. How do we do that? We strive to meet company KPIs and identify staff members that require more guidance, and then obviously we try and get out and audit them a little bit more regularly. We do work to a traffic light system, so we have we do have that. If someone gets a poor audit result, we put them on surveillance, which means the auditors need to get back out there within a week. And other than that, we have a red light, which is 1 month, an amber light 2 months, and a green light, which is 3 months. So we try and continually update that, and staff members that continually get 4 or 5s in their audits, we will roll them over to a green light. We've got probably some older TCs that have been with us for a long time that obviously started as greens and probably working their way back through to ambers, and probably some of our newer staff that might have been with us from 6 to 8 months that show a lot of due diligence in their work and follow our values and continually get good scores that may be on green light. So the traffic light system has nothing to do with years of experience. It is all performance based. So I just want you to know that. And then obviously we meet monthly, and we have open conversations to identify and enforce best practice. So look, I try and meet more than monthly with our auditors, but monthly we go through this presentation and we look at what we're doing well and what we're getting right, and probably what we're not getting right and where we can improve. There is a lot of heat on the auditors to make sure that every site is following what we deem as ATC best practice out there. We educate and work with our people in our quest to achieve zero harm. We're still getting people hurt out there, ankle injuries or injuries out there. And as a business, we can't afford that. Our goal has got to be zero injuries to all staff members at all times. And we've just got to continue to work towards that. Identify hazards and risks and mitigate them when we're out on site. And lastly, we consult with our traffic controllers and bring their ideas and concerns to light to increase safety, productivity, and staff morale. So it's really important that when we're out there and the auditors are out there, that they're working with you and we have open conversations and open dialogue out there. Inevitably, these guys have got a lot of experience, and yes, I am pushing them out there to make sure that we follow best practice. If they audit your site and we don't deem it to be best practice, and there are, a few items where we've missed the ball, and they're things that we've discussed in Toolbox meetings, you cannot expect a mark above a 3. A 3 is what we're saying is acceptable. That meets our company standards, just meets our company standards. 4 is probably, a little bit over and above, but we have missed a couple of things. And obviously a 5 means that we've got everything right. And, we probably do see a lot of 5s come through, which means that this quality of our work out there is really improving significantly. But I want to make sure that we've got open dialogue, and that's really, really important to me. And, I really value your feedback, whether you go through the auditors for that, or whether you want to bring your feedback directly through to me. I'm more than happy for that. But, consultation is really, really important to me. I want you to understand that safety and your safety and our company best practice, I don't want that all pushed from me back down through. I want that to be, a consultation process where we're all involved in it. You're all responsible for your own safety. So, don't rely on me to push these things. If there is a better practice than what you're doing out there, whether it's documented or not, we need to follow it. It's as simple as that. So let's start to look at that. Let's make sure that we bring some feedback in and we'll work towards, that zero harm target that we have. Target for September is to try and get to 563 traffic controllers. We got to 460 for the month of September. We did have Craig off for a big portion of that month as well. So I didn't do a bad effort. One of our other KPIs is also that we can't have any traffic controllers expired by the end of the month. And as you probably noticed, Kim was out doing day and night audits towards the back end of that month, and we achieved that target. So, some amazing work done by her to help us assist in achieving that target. So from a statistics point for Victoria for the month of September, we had 301 TCs achieve a 5, 62 a 4, 36 3. And that's the bit we've got to clean up in our business. The bottom end there, the 1s and the 2s. And some of that stuff is quite sloppy. It could be PPE breaches. TC standing at the same end of a road closure. They're the little sloppy things that we need to clean up in order to to become a little bit better as a business. Inevitably, 86% scored a 4 or 5. Drive-through audits were 100% compliance for the 38 drive-through audits that they conducted. Tasmania, their goal to have no expired TCs was achieved. So fantastic work down there. Sharon's found a new way that we can audit in Tas to achieve our KPIs, and it seems to be working well. I like the look of what I'm seeing coming through from those audits. From a statistics point, we had two 1s, which is probably a little bit concerning, but inevitably 84% scored a 4 or 5. So very similar type statistics to what we had in Victoria. Drive-through audits in Tasmania, we didn't do any for the month. Look, field audit feedback, some positives, before and after photos that Craig and Kim are sending through to me are great. I've asked them to make sure that they're showing you the photos as well, so that you can see what they're seeing, and inevitably what I'm seeing from my end when I'm seeing these audits come through. A big portion of my day spent going through the audits that they're doing and looking at the photos and looking what we're getting right, and certainly what we can do to improve on some of the ones that aren't quite meeting the standard. When we look at some of these photos that come through, so this is one that come through, you know, when I look at this is like a contraflow scenario. That end cone should be removed. We can't have cars making sharp turns. That's just too harsh to drive through and sharp turn back out of that. You know, and then inevitably we really should have probably a keep left up closer to the center line for that car, as you can see coming around that corner. So, you know, there's quite a few things wrong with that one there, and I think this might even been an after photo. So the auditors are probably learning what we really need to get this stuff right, but certainly that's probably not a good photo. This one here is the same type of scenario, but really the keep left needs to come further down and needs to be close to the center line. So we've got to work the cars around from in their lane around and through the work site, not just kick that out in the middle of the lane on the other side of the road. That's certainly not the way that a contraflow works. And you know, jump in and have a look at the contraflow plans in Trafio. That's certainly not the way that they look. This is another one where we've got a chevron sitting in the middle of the lane. There's another ute, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. We're sort of moving cars either side, but that chevron probably should have been on the center line there just to keep cars to the left. This is one I just looked at in the audit. It's just probably me being a little bit fussy as I can be, but I like to see our signs levelled off. So spoke to the auditors about that. One thing that we've always found that separates ATC from other companies is just our level of professionalism, the way we present. If you look at the way yourselves look out on the road in your PPE and our uniform, it's a completely different look to a lot of other companies with the big hoodies and the big bold writing down the sleeves and stuff like that. It's certainly not us, and we certainly take a little bit more pride. So I like to see those signs levelled off. That's something. So if the auditors are coming out there and you think they're being hard asses, well, you know where it's all coming from. Look, we speak a lot about working 3 metres from curb back to give the client as much room as we can. If I look at the curb back to the centre line, I think that's probably even more than 3 metres. Those cones should have been kicked right out, probably beyond that centre line. So when we get out the side, we don't go from the truck out, we go from the curb opposite, out 3 metres, and the client gets the rest. Now, we've discussed this at length, so I'm shocked when I see these photos, and it just shows people probably not watching Quinn, not staying up to date, not watching what we're doing, and we make these sort of mistakes because, inevitably, we have had a situation when we had the power company where we had cones tight to the truck. One of the staff members slipped when he was near the truck. His foot slipped out into the lane and he got his ankle ran over and broke an ankle. So that's why we give the client more room, because we've had a situation where there was an incident and an injury as a result of this. So from the curb back 3 metres, that's how we work. That's ATC best practice. This is just a perfect situation of a TC station. I just love the look of this photo. As you can see up the top there is a snip. We're going to add a document into all of your bookings now, and it will just be ATC best practice. I speak about that a lot to Kim and Craig. When I speak to the people like, say, Shirl about work sites, or people that have been in our company for a long time, they talk about ATC standards, which is great. They've sort of had that drummed into them for a long, long time. However, when I look at it, I just don't believe as a business we clearly explain what is best practice, what that AT standard looks like. So I want that documented. I want everybody to be aware of what does AT standards look like, what does best practice look like. So we will start to build that little that document those document library in your bookings. So you'll see, TC station, best practice, and then we'll put some photos in there as well. So what I'm asking you to do is when you're out on site, if you have some really good photos of, a TC station, whether it's a contraflow, whether it's a photo of an exclusion zone that you want to share with me and email through to me, I'd really value that, because then we can build that into our best practice document and put that, and they go into every single booking that we've got. And that's how we want to train on ATC best practice. So you'll see that come through. Understand everyone doesn't have the blue chevrons, but the keep left or the chevron can certainly replace the blue chevrons in a diagram. This is just an absolute no. You can see a bat standing there in front of the car. If something happens, that motorist's foot comes off their brake, there's a traffic controller possibly badly hurt. So we never step out and stand directly in front of a car. And if we are ever to come in front of a car, we need a bare minimum of 5 meters, but I would expect more than that. And in all honesty, I just really don't want to see you coming out and stepping in front of a vehicle. In a situation where you feel you really need to, maybe keep a bollard beside you and stop the car, sneak out 1 step, drop the bollard out, and then step back. And then you can sort of move the bollard without stepping out in front of the car. But, preferably we don't stand in front of cars. This is just a TC standing position. Look, this is just a before-after photo. As you can see, I love the fact that the TC's out and engaged. I mean, first and foremost, probably hasn't done a hell of a lot wrong there. But what we're looking at right now is, do we need to be on the road? And if the answer is no, then we don't want to be on the road. So it's as simple as that. Do I need to be on the road? No? Okay, get off the road. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're saying is our best practice, is if we don't need to be in harm's way, we're out of harm's way. Simple as that. Just another one here where, there's just so many elements to this photo that are wrong. I've spoken to the girls about this and sent them an email about it. The biggest one is U position. I'm really just all over this at the moment. Every time I'm looking at photos, we are standing next to utes, and it's not on, and they've got to get out. They've got to be moved out of the way. They're a distraction to the photos. When you look at the photos, we blend in. Even looking at this, there's TC next to the ute, really not seen. Back to traffic, in the middle of the road. I mean, yeah, so many elements. And look, this might have still been in setup phase. So I get that. Client might have already been on the road. So, we get into these tricky, precarious type situations, trying to accommodate clients, but, inevitably it only takes 1 second for something to go wrong and someone to get hurt or, potentially even killed. So never back to traffic as well, or, if you are, it's focus and glance. It's, only never more than a second or two to look the other way. This one here I'll look at, and it might have been a pretty quick job apparently in the audit report. Although I see the TC, my question to the auditors is, was this the best spot to stand? Because look, I mean, around the corner might be another corner too, right? But if the answer is yes, this is the best spot to stand, then we need a chevron before that bend, or a keep left before that bend with some cones coming around that corner to really reduce vehicle speed leading into that TC. And once again, when I look to the left, I see a big gravel area there. Why on earth are our utes parked there? That's the other question that I ask of the auditors. Utes out of the way, and let's look at slowing traffic before the bend. So that's why it's actually good for us to share some of these photos in our ops report or our monthly toolbox meeting, so you guys can get a little bit of a look at some of the things that are going out there. Think about what you might have done differently on some of those sites. this is another one where we've got probably the ute in a little bit of a situation where we probably don't want it. We want to try and just combine the ute with the work site. Some of these type sites can be progressive type sites though. But yeah, really, where you can, incorporate the ute into the work site and make it a part of it, or just get it out of the way, just as far out of the way as you possibly can. Look, as a business, we do conduct a lot of fatality works, and some of our guys that have sort of been undertaking some of these works have probably seen some things that are a little bit horrific, and they may be sort of struggling afterwards. And as a business, we identify that we've probably got a bit of a gap in our systems here. We've got a work instruction for this now, and we'll sort of take you through this and explain a little bit about what it's about. And we just want to make sure that we conduct this process every time we undertake these works. So obviously the background of it is that we can be requested to attend these type of works. Obviously our role is to close the road so that the emergency service can obviously clean up the works and conduct their investigations, and obviously where possible try and save some of these people. We understand that these situations are unfortunate, and they can pose a risk to the mental health of our staff members. Obviously, it's really important that we minimise the impact that these situations can have on our people. So, look, you've got to understand that sometimes when we get these call-outs, Chantal will always ask the question, has this been is this a fatality? And not always does she get the right answer. So when we say when or where, we don't always know. So we will always let you know if it is. We are 100% sure that yes, this is a fatality. And if you feel that it's not something that you're up to, then by all means you can decline that allocation. You don't need to accept that allocation. But please note that sometimes through a call out, we may not be aware. It's really important for us to try and close the road at the nearest sort of major intersection. Don't get too close to the work site. Try and avoid and stay as far away as you possibly can. And then obviously when we're out there, it's really important that we're sort of not looking at what's going on at the work site. Let's keep our focus towards traffic. Let emergency services do what they do, and try and avoid looking at what might be going on in the work site and seeing some things that you may not really want to see. Some of this stuff can be quite graphic, and we certainly, if we can avoid looking at it, well, let's make sure that we do that. What we want at the end of the shift is for all traffic controllers to come together, have a conversation about it, do a welfare check on each other, see how everything went, and maybe provide some feedback even in your paperwork, or you can send an email through and provide some feedback on what happened. And even when you look at this process, if there's some things that we can do a little bit better, by all means let us know and we can update this work instruction. Then at the end of the day, our allocations team will notify our people and culture team, and whether it be Nicole or myself or someone from our leadership team or our people and culture team, we'll contact you the next day. I understand that you've worked at night, so it'll probably be in the afternoon sometime, just to do a welfare check and just make sure that you're okay and see how everything went, and see if there's anything that we can do to offer some assistance, or if there's anything in our work instruction that we can add to improve. Okay, that's all for me, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Next is factory and fleet, so I'd like to hand over to Fee.